Tulsi, please take your
Actually, my take on this one is when we are talking about the opportunities and the bottlenecks, I believe that energy security we have already achieved through the fossil fuels and everything. But if we are talking about the 2047 target, then it will be something like we are importing the fossil fuels and everything. Those fuel importing we need to reduce and it should be converted to the renewable sector. That should be the opportunity there. And how we need to do is we need to look at the main transport logistics to the green hydrogen and everything, introduction of the battery energy storage systems and everything. So like this, how we can replace those things with the renewable, that should be the smart move. That is the first one. The second one should be the, you were asking about the bottlenecks. Bottlenecks, main bottlenecks when we are talking about the policy making only.
Of good sun, so that this can also be utilized in creating the renewable energy projects, which could help us in playing a major role in the renewable energy. Apart from that, wind also plays a major role. So it's a kind of mix and match of how renewables, along with if you ask me, only the renewable energy of solar plays a role, because we should have infrastructure upgrades are there. There are many bottlenecks. Apart from that, the grid instability will happen in few days when we pump in so much of renewable energy power into the grid. So we have to create a better management transmission systems, to be more precise, wherein which renewable sector, solar power or wind power compared with best battery energy storage systems along with pumped storage systems. Together, if we could have a good transmission systems in place, we could actually achieve the country's target as in such and decrease our energy imports, which would alternatively increase our economic growth. Yeah.
Yeah, namaskar. With respect to Karnataka scenario, we are already, our generation is up to 62 to 64% on RE. And what I strongly feel, because we have the experience of having established Pavagada Solar Park, which is one of the world's largest solar parks. Today it is more about management, as he was rightly speaking. It need not be solar alone. There has to be a combination of storage. Storage should also be there, wind should also be there, solar should also be there, and if some other alternates, because we have still not exploited the tidal, the geospatial, there are so many things which are yet to be explored. So we have to put in towards that also. And we are one of the world's, I think we are number one in the population. So that means we will be number one with respect to waste also. We have not explored the waste to energy and etc. And we have one of the world's largest coastal lines. We have not explored the heat to energy. So there is so much R&M to be done with respect to these. So unless we do this, it is very easy to tell that by 2070 it has to be net zero. But actually, these are all the most non-reliable forms of energy. Because one cloud will shake our entire generation of solar. 2050 megawatts or what we are generating in Pavagada Solar Park is around 4 gigawatts. The entire 4 gigawatts may come down to 500 megawatts. And the entire load center is not in Pavagada. The load center sits in Tumkur or Bangalore or in some of the tier 2 cities. So when this is the case, we have to really go towards distributed generation. And that we have already commenced by Kusum B and C. We have to also promote Kusum A also in a bigger way. The ceiling of 2 megawatts should be removed so that people are encouraged to put up the plants only for evacuation purpose. So then what happens, a scenario is created wherein solar or wind can also be treated as one of the sources near to reliable. Because as of now, there is no reliability with these RE. To quote a small example, very recently I was in the REMC, Renewable Energy Management Center, where the load was hovering around 17,000 megawatts was the demand for the day. And the load scheduling and forecasting was all near to it. But there were rains and there were this cloud cover. Then automatically the generation came down to 15,000 or 14,000 to 15,000. Now you please tell me how will the distribution companies manage this? Either they will go for distress sale. So to avoid this, we all know the bill which happens in the afternoon and which is not being exploited in the solar. There has to be appropriate forms wherein we are really going to store this bill and we get it back in the peak times. And more than that, we have to also adopt the methodology for solving the right of way issues. The right of way issues never get solved. If the 25 years is the life of the project, the right of way issues persist for the entire 25 years. So, if we have to really target RE as a parallel to conventional form of energy, we have to also see the advantages of the conventional form of energy. For example, the frequency pattern, the voltage pattern. You do not have any frequency and voltage issues with respect to the conventional energy. Whereas when you come to RE, you have all these problems. It could be the low frequency problems, high frequency problems, reactance problems. So, unless all these issues are solved, it will be very difficult to propose or put in forth RE as a parallel for the conventional form of energy. Because all these have to be solved.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for pointing out all these issues, Mr. Amarnath. The auxiliary services, that has become very critical for grid maintenance with the renewables. With conventional, that was not an issue at all. I mean, the source of energy itself was self-governing. Here we don't have really a governing. The grid has to govern. So in a way, so the auxiliary services has become quite critical. So I think we have covered quite a bit on this question. I think it's very clear that the potential exists. The key thing is how do we manage with the intermittent nature of renewables. I think that's the key question, and several points came up in terms of storage. So pump storage, BESS, these are the key points, and also as Mr. Amarnath was telling, auxiliary services in terms of voltage maintenance and those. I think these are the key issues which one has to look at. I'm sure these things are going to be looked at more in detail by the other panelists. I think we'll move on to the next question. Yeah. Now, in this context, to facilitate the growth of this sector, definitely the governments have done a lot so far. But what more does the governments have to do, both the central and state governments? What more do they have to do to give a further fill up to the growth of this sector, and especially to ensure energy security, both from a energy security and energy independence point of view? So this is the next question. Maybe we'll take the route in that direction now because Mr. Amarnath is from the government. Let's ask Mr. Amarnath to talk first.
Yeah. See, as of now, establishment of major parks is history. We will be now moving towards distributed form of generation one. So because we have seen how, as I was quoting the illustration, one cloud cover is sufficient to jeopardize the entire load scenario with respect to the or rather the generation's point of view. The government is, we have a firm policy. The policy is already there, and we are renovating on the policy also. The land banks, that is the main issue whenever it comes to establishment of the solar projects and etc. One is the evacuation scenario. More important is the land. See, it's so happening, we have to even concentrate on the food security point of issue. If all these lands and etc. are being given towards only establishment of these projects, what will happen to the food grain production tomorrow? We are speaking about agrovoltaics and etc. Now, agrovoltaics is more easily said than done. Now, if you have a plant, the project is being set up in a 250 acre or 300 acre plot, and you have around 10 to 15 climates for that plot. How will you distribute the agronomics among them? So these are issues which needs to be solved. The government of Karnataka, under the leadership of the present Chief Minister and the Energy Minister, we interacted with the Revenue Minister, and now the Bhumi portal is already there in place for easily conversion of lands from agriculture to non-agriculture. Earlier, this case used to take 6 months to 8 months because the file had to go to the DC, Tahsildar and come. Now the issue is no more like that. Conversions from agriculture to non-agriculture happens within 24 hours. Or to be more precise, 4 hours. Once the fine is paid, you are going to get the challan back and the land is already converted. Some more problems persist with respect to, now for example, the land is converted but not developed, and the farmer wants to sell it. So in such cases, what is happening? The land, the price arrived at the land is with respect to square feet. So a land which is costing 22 lakhs, so once it is converted, the price comes to around 70 lakhs. Then automatically the further purchases will not happen. So the landowners are not coming forward for leaving their land for solar. In some cases, for example, Karnataka, the maximum, the potential here as identified by NIRI, National Institute for Wind Energy, is 124 gigawatts with respect to wind, 356 gigawatts with respect to solar, out of which we have already covered 10 gigawatts. Another 346 gigawatts is there, and God alone has to help us where that land is available. And if all the available land is given, what will happen to our food grain production? So it is high time for us that we have to go towards renovation and modernization. So that is why Cradle has opened one incubation center only for army. So wherein we are going to dwell on these issues which I already suggested, like the issue of low frequencies during the day times, high frequencies during the night times, high voltage during the night times, low voltage during the day times. No doubt, both the central and state government are now promoting a robust grid with respect to connectivity. For example, if when I joined KEB in 1993, we had only 1 or 2 national grid substations. One was in Somnalli, the other was in some other place. Today we have around 15 substations coming up in Karnataka alone. So that is how the national government, that is the central government, is pitching in. They are promoting a lot of interstate grids. For example, Pavagada. Nobody imagined Pavagada will be having a 400 by 220 kV station promoted by Power Grid. Today we have one more station hardly 20 kilometers away from it. To add to it, we are having the 400 kV stations coming up at Chitradurga, Davangere, Koppal already has a 765 kV. They are coming up with one more 400 kV in coupled. Gadag already has 400 kVs of central government, Yani power grid, established by the central transmission utility. So issues with respect to the grid connectivity, which was not covered earlier, now they have been covered in a more robust manner. And because of the 2003 Electricity Act, wherein the generation was thrown open, now no doubt we are generating 10 gigawatts. But how much is really coming to the state grid? So that is an issue of concern because much flows to interstate also. The same happens with respect to the wind also. So now that is the need of the hour. We have already started a 2 gigawatt hours BESS in one at Pavagada and one at Kushtagi and one at Pulyurdurga with a VGF. So 2 gigawatt hours we are acquiring a VGF of 18 lakhs per megawatt hour. KPTCL is also putting up a 2 gigawatts BESS. Wherever we have RE surplus substations, to tap the bell curve which is available in the mid-noons, we are putting up the BESS so that the same can be used towards peak hours. And the options of single charge, one cycle, two cycle are all kept open. So this is how we are pitching in. And to add to this, in a general way, the central government and state government has to come through by making a stronger grid and establish a robust network in between the central as well as the state grid so that whatever is being generated is properly evaluated.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, good to know all these initiatives which are basically at the utility level initiatives, and which is going to support the industry a lot. I just would like to know from our industry veterans as to what is their wish list, as to what they look forward to from the government.
Now, the question that is asked is that what are the government policies in making this? No. If you could look at in a perspective, India is going on a right direction. The policy making, if you could see, there is a production linked incentives for manufacturing is giving in green hydrogen machine, investments in transmission lines. Okay, there are multiple things that's going on. The policy is making, but government alone can't achieve this. Industry alone can't achieve this. Academies alone can't achieve this. These policies has to be in a collaborative way. When you could look at it, if you could ask me, any kind of policy that has to be made, it should be in consultation with the trade associations or industries. For example, if you take one state government policy, if one state is getting benefit, other state might not be that beneficial. So whatever kind of central government policy to be taken, it has to be rolled out in a similar way in consultation with the collaboration with different stakeholders, where in which if you could ask us regarding the recently whatever our principal secretary sir told, till now we had 150 gigawatt capacity. China has alone added 200 gigawatt capacity this year itself. So there's a huge opportunity for us to tap this market, ensuring a decent kind of policy that has to be made, including the MSMEs benefit that will be provided. We surely achieve the targets.
Yeah, actually the question was what are the priorities need to taken by the central government and the state government. Actually, before coming into the point, I just wanted to point out something. Few years back, when we are talking about the rooftop solar, it was something different scenario. I mean, like before PM Suryagar or like MNRE introduced the subsidy program. Before it was something different that some of the state governments are doing the subsidy program, but there was no any like nationwide program. There was nothing. But fortunately, by precisely saying 2024 February 13th or something like that, officially the PM Suryagar introduced. After what happened is apart from the solar, most of the people they wish to go for the solar, but there is so many limitations are there, especially for a lower middle class people or middle class people. They wanted to go for it, but they are unable to go for it due to the they don't have the finance. But what government done is the government has provided the all the national banks have to provide the loans, SBI and all these banks are giving. That time the loan interest was around 8%, but now it came down to around 5.75%. So all these are the nationwide how the central government is looking at this particular issue, and they are trying to solve it. So apart from that one, I heard that by after 2027 March, PM Suryagar 2.0 is going to come. Now PM Suryagar is promoting for the grid tie power plants, but for the next 2.0 they are going to promote this hybrid type one, because they are well aware about the need of the storage, why we need the storage and what is the importance of the storage. They knows it very well. So that is the only reason that government wanted to push for the battery storage. That is the that is the first one. In the same time, state government is also having some major responsibilities, like policy making. We know it is coming under the regulatory authorities, but still the state government is having major discom reforming and everything. That is also a very important one. For example, if I am talking about in Kerala, Kerala, every 5 years we are having one a regulation. Our first regulation was the renewable regulation introduced by 2020. Now 2025 it has expired and we have introduced another one, the new one. But in the new regulation, what we have included is the something much better one. They are looking at the future only, like V2G, vehicle to grid is there in our Kerala's regulation. Second one is the virtual net metering is available. Then again is coming is the many new new technologies or new additions they have done. But sad part is that one some of the areas regulators also omitting that like in Kerala, what happened is the entire commercial net metering they have revoked. There is no, it was 1 megawatt, up to the 1 megawatt there was a net metering facility was available. Right now it's limited to the residential sector only for the 10 kilowatt. After 10 kilowatt there is no net metering. For the commercial tariff, entire net metering has been withdrawn. So these are the drawbacks also there, when regulators is taking care of the things, so they should take care these areas after. So state government and the central government is having the same responsibility to promote the renewable energy. So all these factors also taking care during the policies and everything. This is my take on this one. Thank you.
Just to summarize what we all collectively shared, say, we know in India, megawatt scale plant started in Karnataka in 2010, the first megawatt near Bangalore. Now we see the lot of policies, government is really trying to help the businessmen to set up the, say, renewable energy, plus consumer also is going. So for me, how I look at, say, when we started, I think one challenge was the land. What government did in Pavgada, wasteland, dry land, they try to help the amalgamation of all the landowners and get the contract. All this is possible to get thousands of acres, possible to provide to solar investors. That is, I think government has done a great work in terms of land aggregation with the supporting policies, helping the industrial list to come to the reliable contract with the farmers, which are challenging to deal with. So apart from that, say policies in terms of you want to set up your residential solar, you don't need a government approval. Now I think some policies, online approval can happen in a day or hours. These are the policy changes which government is making as evolving in the say presence of renewables. Apart from this, if I look at recent policy PM Kusum projects, I think he is asking about where we get the land. If we just calculate basic number, every 1,000 houses, if we give a 2 kilowatt to 3 kilowatt, it is a 2 to 3 megawatt for every 1,000 houses. For 1 lakh houses, it will be close to 3 gigawatt. For Karnataka, let us look at even 50 lakhs houses. It will be 10 to 15 gigawatt you can get, you don't need a land. PM Kusum project you have to promote. I think now government promoting with a storage with extra subsidiary. If that happens, along with what I heard from my friend in Kerala, they are giving induction cooker also. So when it is generated during the thing, customer can use it. And what I heard from Andhra Pradesh policies is for SCSTs, they identified already 7.5 lakh houses and they are giving almost free. Instead of free electricity for 200 units, you free solar. For them, they will generate, they consume, give appliances, equipment so that it can be distributed, it will not transfer the load to the central grid. I think government making lot of policies, slowly it is evolving, everybody learning about it, and I think it is going to happen slowly. I think the natural way of using cheapest solution will evolve. Apart from this, government also need to invest lot in infrastructure, transmission line network, plus transformation systems. So now we have close to 5 lakhs circuit kilometer of 220 kV and above. And government is planning in next 5 years close to 1.5 lakh circuit kilometer addition in the 220 kilowatt and above say voltage levels, with lot of substations also to promote renewable energy. It's almost like close to 30 lakhs crore government planning in next 5 years to strengthen the infrastructure to handle the growth of next 500 gigawatt of say renewable energy growth in next 5 to 10 years. So government is doing it. I know it is we want in a faster phase. I also request government policy holder, let investor also make money. So we pay the very thin margins, EPC player, investor. Changing the policies really impact a lot. When somebody write the funds to invest based on thin margin with the government, bank loans and all, the policy change is really impacting the investor, attracting the small investor. I know big investor can set up. The small investors who are having the money, they want to get into renewable, now solar, they are thinking twice. Now if best comes up per say 1 megawatt, you want to have a 4 megawatt of best storage. It costs somewhere around 3 crore for solar. Again 15 to 20 crore for a best solution to ensure the stability. So when the cost goes up, we need to have a policy stability for longer run, so that we should allow the investor to invest, make it attractive with a better margin. I think this and all will help us to achieve the renewable growth in next 1 to 2 decades.
Yeah, thank you. I think a lot of points did come up during this in terms of the policy framework. One thing which comes to my mind, I thought I should also bring it up. Well, lot of encouragement is happening. Our utilities are kind of not so much of a willing partner. They are a grudging partner is what I find. I don't know whether others also notice this. There is some amount of grudge that okay, we don't have a choice, so but still we need to go through with it. One example is this virtual net metering, which has been announced in Karnataka. KERC announced it in 2025, more than a year back. I don't think it has still seen the light of the day. So just the other day I had gone to the help desk and made some inquiries. They are still waiting for some clarification from KERC. Basically, the implementation is being delayed. So going into the depth of it, what we find is when distributed generation comes into the picture, I think the utilities have a concern that their revenues are getting affected. And probably if you get into the fundamentals of it, this is my hunch that utilities are requiring substantial amount of their fixed costs through energy charges, not through the fixed charges. So I think that shift, if they can recover all their charges, their fixed costs from fixed charges and not depend upon energy charges for that purpose, then they'll be more willing to permit distributed generation. I think this probably requires a little more intense debate, but I think we should trend towards that, because then the utilities also become a willing partner. So we are just about 10 minutes away from 3 o'clock. So we have more questions, but I think instead of getting into more questions with the panelists, I thought in case from the audience, if there is any comments, any observations anybody would like to make, we would first give some time to the audience and then come back to the questions if required. Anybody from the audience, any observations, please feel free. Huh? I know this session is the first session after lunch. So, yeah.
In fact, Ashok was telling about giving the induction that source, which already I think Kerala has implemented it, right? So that is one of the best thing to go ahead and improve the requirement of the renewable energy, because I had made a small study around 2 years back. The LPG versus renewable energy induction source. If we give the induction source to every house instead of giving the LPG cylinder, which is an import component for us, we can make the induction source at around 1,000-1,500 rupees every house, and ensure the daytime electricity for them to give them the cooking gases. And that will save India almost around $2 billion. Last year I have checked it out. Okay, and what we have seen is the per unit of we calculate the temperature in joules, right? So the electricity per unit works out much cheaper than the LPG actually. And currently India has got almost around 95% electricity connections to each and every house. And it is the right time to go ahead and push the induction cookers to each and every house as a government intervention or whatever it is. And daytime electricity, daytime sunlight we can use, and we can completely, I think we can bring down the LPG import by around more than 50% is what is my study that has given the output. So if you require, I think only you are the opinion makers, you will have to push it at the government level and see to it that anyway, one example is already there. I think this will have to go in a big way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else would like to make some observation? Please come to the front. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. My name is Karthik. I have observed one thing regarding EVs, like the majority of the batteries are reliable on lithium ions, which are imported from China and other countries. So if you want to bring the cost down of an EV, or if you want to if you want the manufacturers to have a benefit with a big margin, the taxation over the imports should be considered one thing. And the second thing is like the research over the batteries, because I've observed some companies are just buying the batteries from the different countries and they are just using them. But what my suggestion is that um, building an atmosphere for the battery research, or any other kind of research can still bring down the cost of an EV, or the energy of if you take even a solar panels as an example, that itself can still bring the cost, and this might improve the economy of our country through because India has a majority of middle class people. Even if they are able to afford the systems, or the products which you are showing here, so the government can make money, and the manufacturers even can be confident, like, okay, we can produce in a mass numbers, like that. That's my observation and suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, Karthik. Anybody else? Maybe one more person? Yeah.
Sir, my name is Ishwar. I'm Secretary for KREPPA. I don't know this question, right question to Mr. Amarnath sir or not. Actually, most of the substations in Karnataka are totally overloaded. I wish to know that any government of Karnataka planning to enhance these capacities in the substation, where a lot of farmers attached to the substations, they have land. Actually, some of the substations doesn't have capacity to feed into this solar power solar power. Is there any planning from the government of Karnataka? I don't know. Actually, you have to, because you are there in that line, you are an expert on that. Kindly throw some light on that, sir, because it may going to give a lot of information to our entrepreneurs and a lot of people. Thank you.
There are three questions. Shall I answer this first? Or there are others also to be answered? Okay. Yeah. Sir, for this financial year, the state transmission utility, that is Karnataka Power Transmission Corporation Limited, has planned around 220 kV stations. In addition to the augmentations, it's not limited to the augmentations. And for the first time, we are also establishing a 765 kV substation. We have planned two numbers of 765 kV substations, one at Dodbalapur and one at Raichur. So this is already there. The thing was, all of us know about this Pavagada Solar Park. In the name of connectivity, we are paying almost 1 rupee to 1 rupee 50 paise to the unit, to the central transmission utility as POC charges. So our KERC chairman, Mr. Ravi Kumar, was very particular about this, how attempts can be made to avoid this penalization. So no doubt it goes towards the infrastructure, but ultimately at the larger end, the consumers end up paying more. So in spite of having a robust solar, wind and etc., what attempts can be made to reduce these POC charges? So in many of the meetings which we had, the interaction meetings with KERC, Treasurer, KPTCL and Energy Department, which was chaired by the chairman KERC as well as ECS and others, more impetus was given towards putting up an independent grid of KPTCL itself. So we have got it approved by CEA also, because it is mandatory, anything about 400 kV has to be approved by CEA. So this proposal of having an independent 765 kV grid supported by 400 kV substations and etc. is already approved. So based on that, KPTCL has already tendered also. And KPTCL is establishing a 400 kV station at Husseinpura on TBCB basis. The work is awarded to Tata. And one more station is coming up in the Mysore belt also. So we are having two types of grids which is now being mooted. One strongly proposed by the state transmission utility and the other ones which is already there and duly linked to these stations, wherein even the central transmission utility, they are coming up with almost 12 number of stations in Karnataka and in another 24 months. So that is the data which I have, which covers Koppal, Gadag, Davangere, Chitraduga and Pavagada also. So it's a matter of great relief that whenever a developer comes forth for the interstate connectivity, there used to be a lot of grid constraints. Now, by all these measures which are being promoted, in another 24 to 36 months, we are going to have an independent, strong, robust 400 kV grid as well as a 765 kV grid, wherein the interstate connectivity can also be availed and intrastate, within the state also it can be availed. So it is already taken care. And one small point, with respect to the 11 kV, as you told, there are many farmers who are ready to. That is why I was speaking about Kusum 8. As of now, 2 megawatts is the ceiling. Beyond 2 megawatts, the farmer is not supposed to put up the plant. If that ceiling can be relaxed, because in many areas, farming is a subsidized component. And sir was also pointing about the utilities not being ready to accept this. See, basically what is happening, whenever a new government comes, the first soap to be offered is energy. Earlier it was not supposed to be like that. If you go to center, we talk about Kusum, which is also one way of placating the components. And when you come to self-scale, up to 200 units it is free. We could have thought about some other way of giving this 200 units, where it could be co-productive. And particularly, Make in India. We are talking about ALMM1, ALMM2, all this, and now it is mandatory. Post June and July 25 that you have to buy Make in India only. I think now they must have relaxed it up to December. So such promotions should be more. And as he rightly pointed out, instead of giving one cylinder free, it is better we give one induction stove free and if possible one rooftop solar also. So that you are giving the generator also as well as the cooking area also. So such things I think it is time the government steps in and we work with other departments also because the providing stove and etc. doesn't belong to energy. Providing rooftop solar is our responsibility, but providing induction heater is not our responsibility. So instead of giving 200 units free, so we can work out on some alternate methods. See now, for example, when the present government came, Kusum B was not at all thought about. In Kusum B, 30% was subsidy by state government, 30% central government and 40% the landowner had to bear. But after the new government came, our energy minister, he had 2 rounds of discussion with us, with the leads of the energy. He told, we are paying so much of compensation as subsidy. Every distribution utility is being subsidized. Let us think it in a different way. Why not we increase the subsidy of Kusum B from 30% to 50%? So automatically what happens? The share of the landowner is only 20%. And there is no reservation there. Earlier there was a reservation in Kusum B in the state that only SC/ST used to pay 20%, whereas 40% would be used by a general farmer. Now that was removed. The state government pitched in with 50% subsidy, central government 30%, and the landowner was only 20%. And the results are there here. After 3 years, the same Kusumbi, which we only were able to see 1,000 landowners in the past 3-4 years. Today we have 25,000 and more. And we have got an approval for 40,000 from MNRE. And we are working towards achieving the balance 50,000. So this is how the policies and etc. should shape. So similarly, on that 200 units and other front also, instead of giving it free, because what has happened with this 200 units, just to quote an example, a well-groomed IT family, hardly one couple, certainly their consumption is not more than 100 units. He comes under the subsidized category. Who is earning more than 24 lakhs per annum? So there is no meaning in giving him subsidy. So we have to work like this. All these subsidy and etc. should really go to where it is necessary, instead of getting scattered to places where it is not needed.
So to add your point, I would like to say that in Andhra Pradesh last year there was a tender for 200 units. SC/ST used to get free of cost, so they have floated somewhere around 1.25 gigawatt of tender on rooftop, 2 kilowatt each, giving rooftop free. And currently they were giving another 23 lakh customers. New tender will be floating for PC consumers below 200 units. So I would recommend the state of Karnataka to complement with other states. So, and I say same way as what my Kerala friend is saying, that there the first term policy low 200 units used to be free. Now in the second version they are giving you 200 units of rooftop free. For 200 units they are giving rooftop free plus induction cooker they are giving. You are giving both, right?
Why they are doing it like that is they wanted to ensure that the people are using it properly. What happened is one of our projects, we were doing it for free. Those houses are nearer to the forest area. So once we have completed the work, the people have run away from there because they are unable to stay over there due to the wild animals and everything. So when we went there for the servicing and everything, none of them were there. None of them. Yeah, well, it's ideal only. And it's isolated. The people are not there. So we called them. I said that why you are not coming? So that is, sir, we cannot come and stay over there because it's a very dangerous area.
But I think that I want to add one more point, sir. Here the Andhra policy, they are not giving net meter. They are giving gross meter. How much the 2 kilowatt that is generating from their house, the entire thing will be taken care by DESCOMs. So there was an effective utilization there.
Okay. Interesting that populism is inevitable. Governments will be populistic, so that is inevitable. But can we mix populism with some practical aspects which will also bring in energy security and energy independence? I think that's the key takeaway, and good to see that some of the governments like Kerala government and Andhra government, they have taken some steps. Even Karnataka government is trying to kind of capture the subsidy more in the form of a capital subsidy for water irrigation pumps and these kind of things. So that's the trend which is happening. I think these are definitely positive trends. So just to summarize, I think we are about 10 minutes away. So I don't know, we'll just close the session. Yeah, I'll just take 2 minutes and summarize. So what we find is that there's good potential to increase the renewable penetration, both for electrical and non-electrical sectors. So that is very clear. The bottlenecks is, one of the key approach was to have large centralized generations. But instead of that, if we go decentralized and distributed generation, I think that will have more impact in terms of reducing losses and also enabling usage of electricity as and when at the point of generation. So that's another key takeaway. And BESS or other forms of storage is also very critical because of the intermittent nature of renewables. So the various possibilities by which it is possible, and that really has to be strengthened. And from the policy point of view, governments have been taking various steps, and it's interesting to see that the populism which is there in the government, that is being clubbed with proper utilization and use of renewables and better utilization of renewables also. So thank you very much. Thank you all the panelists for making your positive contributions. Thank you.